Yeah.
Well, I mean, that's part of why we say all the legs of story are important. And if you favor one of them, you still need to be competent at the others, because any one of them can break and your whole story falls apart.
Or you can be just bad at all of them like me, and then everything just is kind of like mediocre.
It's just a little stool. Just kidding.
Oh.
I think that's what some people will call all style, no substance.
Sure, yeah.
Yeah.
That's a lot of anime, unfortunately.
That is a lot of anime.
Yeah.
That's
Yes.
Which is beautiful to watch, but it's just like, what the hell was the purpose of like watching this and then, like nothing happened?
it's like beautiful to watch, but then you end up with a question: why did I watch that?
yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
I just realized this is the episode that we had the questions at the bottom for Kate.
Yeah.
guess who is
Guess
not
who
thought?
didn't come prepared? Hey,
But that's how we jump into world building anyways. So.
our audience is used to it.
Yeah,
Damn.
it's true.
Called out.
No, I can take it.
Yeah. Ken.
Yeah,
God.
it's fine. Happens at work, happens here, happens in real life.
Gonna
It means it's just a part
Grease
of
lightning.
life.
Oh. No, not the same thing. Okay.
No, I do usually make that joke with that voice though. Yeah.
Because I think you've done so much. Like now I'm taking it because I'm like, I feel
Yeah.
you're gonna do it. You're gonna do it. Like,
I'll steal her
okay, so I
thunder.
gotta do it before she does it.
I'm just here. I don't
He
know
is.
what
Not
you're
just
talking
here.
about.
You do more than exist. You are part of this clan of ours, the Bards and Balladeers clan.
Oh,
I'm so glad.
It's a little late. We're already
Oops.
starting. I mean,
I just like clapping.
Me too. Golf clap.
The Gandalf. No, wow. The Dumbledore clap.
yeah, they're good. Oh, good job, Harry.
I think that's-
Harry.
Gambledon. Gambledon.
That's his last name.
No. The first
Michael Gambon,
Gambon. There we go.
the second Dumbledore. First is Richard Harris.
Oh, thank you. Yes, the second.
Why, what happened?
Dumbledore.
He died.
He dies in the like 7th movie. Yeah.
No, the actor died. Spoilers.
Yeah.
What I saw this video once and it's so mean. Like you should don't ever do this. But there's a guy who just got an early copy of the book, the Sun's book, whatever, and he just walks by all the people who are at the midnight like release and everything. Like Gandalf dies on, or not Gandalf. Dumbledore
same thing. Yeah.
dies on page 273, and you just hear this girl go, what? As they're driving by. It's so mean, but like objectively, it's kind of funny. Like, you know,
See, that's why like a lot of these reaction channels have moderators. Like, because people do that there too. Like, hey, guess what happens?
yeah, and Luke's is Darth Vader's Luke's father. Like, yeah.
Spoilers.
Yeah.
Wait, I
Goodness.
feel like we were sitting with one of those, one of those people who does that.
No. They're re-releasing the unedited Star Wars movies back in theaters.
Wow.
cool.
I think
Yeah.
next year.
Yeah.
Way to retroact. Like, I still have the THX VHS.
Yeah.
The VHS ones on THX where they never inserted any CGI
Nice.
Jabba the
It's just-
Hutt or,
They had that footage and they just
Bonfires
wanted to
first.
use it. And if they did it now, I feel like it would have been fine. Like, I
Right.
feel like they could have fit it better. Like, it wouldn't look so just like pasted in there because you can tell it's CG. Like,
Yeah.
it's just pretty bad.
I also feel like a little bit dirty even saying Han fires first. It's like Han fires.
yeah.
There is no first or 2nd. It's just Han fires. No one else is firing.
Yeah. Because he's got to defend himself because he doesn't want to look like a scoundrel, or scruffy nerf herder,
Also, how do you miss at that range?
Greedo.
Seriously. Yeah. No, that was
Doesn't he have like
ridiculous.
6 eyes too?
No, he has two.
Just 2?
Two
Oh.
black beady eyes.
Oh.
Yeah, I don't even know what the name of their race is. I do know.
I did know because I ran a Star Wars game.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
Nerd.
Yeah, that's fine.
Hello, welcome to the party.
Seen my
Yeah.
Doctor Who role playing game on the shelf.
With that said, we are Bards and Balladeers. Welcome. I don't
Hello.
have the sheet for us to do the thing
I
for.
have it.
It's okay.
Let's get. Maybe. Oh wait, I do.
Maybe
This is
I
the
do.
one that's all like bent.
What,
Here you
what's
go.
the sheet? We know.
It has our
our little intro.
Because we can't
thing.
deviate.
yes. Welcome.
Set
We get-
ship sail.
Welcome everybody to the podcast about story in all of its forms. I am one of your hosts. I'm Kate.
I'm Oscar.
Rio.
And so we are all authors to some degree, and we have some specialties.
Some better than others.
I'm a black belt author.
Advanced, beginner, and what's in the middle? Intermediate.
Yeah.
Journeyman, apprentice, journeyman, master.
Oh, yeah.
Oh.
I got a Journeyman cosplay award once.
Sorry, we're totally interrupting you.
Yeah.
Yeah, guys.
This is an organic podcast. There is no rules.
Yeah. Thanks for joining us. So whether or not you're watching us on YouTube, you can also find us on other platforms like Spotify, iTunes, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music. And then also we do have a Discord now. Some people have joined us there, but don't forget that you can too. So just follow the link down below. You do have the power. Join us. We have some fun dialogues there. We expand on some other episodes. If you have thoughts that you don't want to put in the comments of whatever platform you're watching, you can explore it there.
Watching you.
YouTube is watching, but at the same time, are they? Do they care?
No.
They just love that you're watching, and we love that you're commenting and liking and also subscribing.
Yeah.
But yes, so Discord. And then as of right now, we don't have really any upcoming events that I know of.
We may or may have done a live stream. We're doing a live stream.
Yeah.
We're going to do more of them.
Yeah. Got a couple guests we're talking to. It's like the world is chaotic right now. And that's like, people's individual worlds too. So that's the main hold up with those at the moment. But
it's true.
They're coming.
But speaking of worlds, today's topic is what we are calling Brave New Worlds. So world building as a whole and creating new worlds within them. Feel free if anybody wants to elaborate better than I just did. But
I mean, we talk a lot about world building and stories, but sometimes stories involve creating whole new worlds. Whether your story is like a fantasy story that takes place on one world and you just have to create that, or if you're doing science fiction and you're literally creating like multiple solar systems or whole galaxies,
universes,
or you're just using the real world and just trying to fit stuff into it.
Yeah, or some like different version, like alternate world.
Sure.
But where you have to create aspects of worlds or worlds in their entirety. That's what we're talking about.
Yeah.
And how do we do that?
You just stare until something comes out.
Until some magic transpires up here. And
per our last episode.
Yeah, it is definitely, I think, something that everybody does so like catastrophically different from one another. Mostly because like it's, I mean, not to make a big deal of it, but it's like its own like big bang happening in your brain. And being able to then get it from your brain and your imagination, then onto whatever medium you are using to carry your story. Because also you might make so much of a world, but only 20% of that might actually be written down in the story that your reader or viewer or whoever will actually absorb.
Not only might you do that, I recommend that.
Yeah.
Tip of the iceberg is what you show people, but there needs to be more underneath it supporting it.
Right.
Yes. And then I know for us at Lovely Woods, Rio has added like glossary and information in our hardcover versions, and then also like on our website too, so that people can, dig into that side of the world building if they want to.
Almost like a wiki kind of thing too. Because I wanted some people to have something extra inside our hardcovers, but also, like, I didn't want to restrict as like, no, you're only gonna get this information if you buy the hardcovers. Like, no, just one of those added features or whatever. And it does help me because, you got to think about this and how you describe somebody or something right away to somebody that is concise and like is, all there. And even writing with our newest author, Wendy, she's asking me a bunch of questions. I'm like, hold on, let me think about that real quick. Like, so it's a good experiment just to try to think of your world, I guess, outside of your world, if that is possible, or have somebody just ask you questions about it, like if they're interested about it.
Yeah, it's actually not. I hadn't really thought about having that at that part in the editing process, like maybe not an alpha reader, but an alpha world building brainstormer. Like, hey, what questions would you have about a world you're going to read about? Yeah. But I know like the Eidolon Studios website, which that's the dude who made Shadow World. Okay. He had this on his website too, where it was set out like the map of a library. Okay. And like, so each section you could click on like what that section's about and about the world building involved in that.
I like that a lot.
So
I do. And I also do think that, like with the tip the iceberg thing, that one of the reasons why it is so important to still do all of that world building, even though your reader's not going to see it, is just so that these questions can happen. People can dig into it more. And truly, like, I also just think that you just have to make more. Like and maybe that is the reason why I do love fantasy, or like, you know, the big, large, like epic worlds and whatnot. But if you don't have all of that understood in some way, shape, or form, or at least knowing where the bounds are, you then don't know where the bounds are for the plot itself of whatever story you're telling. That's at least my opinion on it, why I think it's so important.
I also have a little theory that's why you've previously said that you don't really like world building. And I have this theory that part of it is because you spend so much time creating the stuff that's never going to show up in the story. And you know you have to do it, but you're like, I'm not progressing the story.
Yeah.
But you know what? Like, that's when you have to learn, like, okay, how can I appreciate this for its own merits?
It's true.
And how is this going to come out in the story? And I think that there's a richness that comes out when you do that. Like, anyone who gets involved in, you know, like reads Lord of the Rings or the Narnia stuff or Harry Potter, anything, can sense that there's more there. And I feel like that's conveyed by the richness of the world. And that just helps people remain immersed in it rather than just consuming it.
Oh,
so it goes, you're building immersion.
Yes, yes. And truly, like when we go to fantasy, when we go to sci-fi, any of these type of genres are going to escape, right? Like it's all escapism. And I think even Tolkien said that. I might be, you know, paraphrasing.
I quibble on that point a little bit, but go ahead.
Oh, sure. No, but I don't want to steal a thought from you though.
No. Because what I was going to say is like, actually to you guys' points, like there is over planning too, though. Like you gotta leave a little bit of that mystery and everything. Like plan enough and everything, especially if like, at least when I think of things sometimes, like I want to make sure that like, oh, if I'm thinking about this, I need to address at least, even if it's just a sentence, like she had big shoes because whatever. I don't know why that's the thing.
She's an orc.
Yeah, she's an orc. Yeah, she's an orc.
Because she got big feet.
Yeah, she got big feet, right? It's very prevalent to the story. And then it's good to have a good basis. And I think that's why a lot of people who are right in just like this, either like urban fantasy or whatever, it's easier just to like put a werewolf in like New York or something like that, because it's just like, I don't have to do all the building. Everybody knows what New York looks like. Everybody knows how the taxi system works there or whatever. But then you can just kind of play around. It's like, how would a werewolf live in New York or anything? It's like, what's their job? I don't know. But and you guys probably too find it a lot more enriching when you get to be the master of the rules, be the person who gets to put everything in place and figure out how they all interconnect. And for me, that's the greatest part in everything.
I think it's like being a game master or like tabletop role playing games. It really helps you build that skill of building extra stuff, but knowing when to stop.
Yeah.
Because the more you're doing, you do some planning and everything, but you have limited time. You're not like, I'm going to publish this in 3 years. You're thinking, I got to run this in 2 weeks.
Sure. Yeah.
You know, so how much extra stuff that is never going to come up do I really want to develop? Right. You're building the roots so that these are the things people might discover during play. But there comes a point where you got to say, now I've done enough of that. I need to focus on things people are more likely to run into.
Right.
And sometimes you don't quite build enough and then you've got to do it on the fly. But then you're really glad that you did as much as you did at least.
Right.
Because if you did none of it, you'd be just caught out.
I do think that you just said creating the roots of it. I think that is probably one of the best analogies that I could think of right now, and technically you thought of it, but
I'm stealing it.
Is that you want to create just enough to give roots to your story that you want to tell, but sometimes you don't need to think of what type of flower is going to bloom, in spring season. You don't need to think of the kind of birds that are going to nest in it. Like obviously that helps and adds richness to the world, but you guys are right that like, I think one of my problems, because I do so much world building and it is exhausting, but that's why my books aren't out yet, like, sorry, Mom. That's why I haven't been able to, just decide on a final point of like, okay, the world building is done.
Sure.
Let's move forward. And I think I have learned this within the last year or so, and every day I'm learning something new.
Sure. Process of a writer, right?
It is. And I do think that that's a superpower of like knowing where the line is. If you're done, you've done enough.
It's the story equivalent of drawing boundaries. And, sometimes we think I need to develop this stuff because people are going to come at me and call me out on it. Yeah. And one thing I would say about that is, okay, but if you do define it, other people are going to come out at you and say, here's why that's wrong.
Oh, no.
So sometimes it's better to actually leave certain things undefined.
Sure.
Because then people can say, well, how would this work? You're like, well, there's multiple ways that could work.
Yeah.
I didn't write any of them.
Yeah.
So
let me know your thoughts. Yeah.
The one thing I was going to say to your point too, though, is that like, you're right. There's so much you have to do just to get it started, to get the engine going. But then in what we're kind of doing too, is as you wrote Velkus of the Greater Wilds, as you wrote or writing Miniari of the Greater Wilds, it's like, it feels so much more. And even if it was just for our benefit and everything, building that world even more is just a wonderful task in those supplemental books, and if people want to know more, they can read it. Mm-hmm. And if they don't, it's fine, Yeah. And
I just refer them to Wikipedia myself, but
sure.
Historical fiction cheat code.
Okay, honestly, I need to that's a smart move.
My own, Wikipedia page. But I was going to say too that because of it, we added things that again mean nothing but mean everything. And what I mean by that is that you did the water thing, and
I was just thinking of that. Yeah.
So I have a race of characters called the Aelfir. And they are very water-based. They're just not obsessed with water, but they treat like water like wine. Like literally like they have water sommeliers kind of thing, and they can taste the difference between this water from this place and this water. And she wrote that in there, like how they went there, and her character or Avelie, it's like, I can't tell the difference. Like
it's all the same water. Yeah. And there's another character that's like, but this water from this place. This is the glacier of this is salty water. Yeah. Like it's just from the ocean.
Reminds me of my trip to Italy. Like, my mom and I went out, like there was this wine, like tour of around Lake Garda and then a wine tasting thing. I don't drink wine. But it's full of octogenarians, like old, like University of Iowa alumni.
Oh.
And of course, they're doing the whole like wine tasting, and all these old American, like Midwestern people who are more concerned with college football than with wines. They're just like, the wine's good.
Yeah.
And I saw the tour guide's face, just like, it's almost like you just can sense the jaw clenching further, like more and more tightly.
They're dying a little bit inside. They should be used to it by now.
Americans. Right. Yeah, but I think sometimes you just get a busload full of people,
and just too
people
much
in their 70s from Iowa.
And so it's just like that. And I actually, when talking about world building, and we're talking about like the water moment and how like that's like the equivalent of that.
Yeah.
Like I genuinely do love world building. Like it's also because where character, and I think somebody had a note of this, where character intersects that world building. Yeah. Like how does the world building impact the choices and the behaviors and the quirks that characters will have while living in these particular places? And I think that, that's just so much fun. Like I have no other, it's like I don't know, it makes me happy. Like it's a type of strategy that is more psychologically based. I don't know.
Sure.
Like,
so like clarify what.
Oh yeah. So I think it's just like somebody. Maybe I see this in real life too. Is somebody that was born and raised in upstate New York. Will have certain thoughts. One, because everybody has different thoughts, and based on like the culture that they're raised in, too, and like the type of family members that they have. So somebody that grew up in maybe like a louder family might be more quiet, or they might also be louder too. But somebody raised in upstate New York would have different thoughts and characteristics than somebody that was born and raised in Minneapolis or LA or Orlando or, I don't know, someone.
Columbia.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And so those differences is kind of what I mean, like more like it's more psychological than like it's a layer of psychology in the story that I think just makes characterization more fun. And again, how you wouldn't have that without the world building around it.
Sure.
It's like when
that was a journey.
when nurture meets nature.
Yeah. Sure. Yeah.
Nurture, like how everyone's raised,
right?
Meets nature, like how the world is built.
And I love bringing that to the characters and the world building. And I guess the plot, matters too, but
I guess, I was thinking too about, we always joke, like, you love world building, but I think you have this like block where you think you're not good at it. So, or it's just a lot to take on. It's like a lot to tackle, right?
Yeah.
It's where I think I have the opposite, where it's just like, I don't think I'm good at writing prose sometimes, and then I'll look at Kate's stuff. I'm like, here, just you write it. Like,
He gives me the idea though.
Yeah. Like, and it's just those strengths, right? And everything. Right. And I'm probably not that bad. It's just that I like other people's stuff better. Maybe it's being a harsh critic about yourself or whatever. Yeah. But like, you do a good job. I'm very excited because you still haven't let me like see much of your story, but I'm excited to see what that looks like, what the world building looks like. And maybe I'll be focusing on it a little bit, but
I think how this comes about is also integral to the world building process, which is gauging what is enough. And if you're not happy with your own world building, usually it means you've got some notion in your head of what is enough based on stuff you've read and enjoyed.
Yeah.
And if what you're doing is not enough, you feel like you're falling short of that.
Sure.
And, maybe even sometimes that's not true, but often it is, you're falling short of that mark, but that mark is way higher than it needs to be, or maybe you're not. And you just, because I found this when you're reading stories that have a lot of world building fleshed out, you sort of intuit that there's so much more there.
Yeah.
But sometimes there's not.
Yeah.
Like, this is what you're seeing. If you're seeing, this is the tip of the iceberg, you think there must be 90%, like 90% of this is stuff I'm not seeing. So I'm not doing enough. And it's like, well, no, 50% of it you're not seeing. Or maybe you are doing enough,
right?
Because it's about what people see, and am I doing enough for what people see to be 10% of that? And like, okay, well, where are we coming up with that figure? Like, is what people see enough for the story to be amazing and convey a sense of a rich world?
Yeah.
But you also, I think you want there to be this much more of the world.
Yes.
And it's like, I want to live in this world, and I've grappled with it so much, and I just don't feel like I'm doing enough. I did this stuff for that society, and then I barely touched this one. And I feel like that all needs to be fleshed out, except does it really, et cetera, et cetera.
Exactly.
It's like the schools from Harry Potter. Like, it was cool when they introduced them all, but it's just like, oh, what is this now? And then like,
here's the 3 really detailed ones. And then there's the evil one. We won't talk about that much.
Yeah.
They're cunning.
Yeah. They're ambitious, and also all of them are selfish and evil. Like, what?
Yeah.
It's true.
And it's a weird thing. Cause maybe like we were joking about it earlier, like where did these ideas start from? Like, where do you actually get this? And one of the things I was thinking about is I used to like look out the window when I was a passenger, like when I was younger, and I would like see shadows and everything. And I was imagine like people living in the shadow world actually keeping the world together somehow, or like, and there was a movie called The Adjustment Bureau that kind of went on the same idea, where like when an accident happened or someone would die, or something happened where it wasn't supposed to, these like angels or whatever would come and just fix it. And then like, but they're behind the scenes. And then like Matt Damon could see these people, and then he became a target. Like, Yeah,
it's funny because in the show Dead Like Me, there's the opposite. There are gravelings that make the accidents happen.
Sure,
And like one of the main characters could kind of see them. Mostly it's like out of the corner of your eye, but like one of the Reapers could actually see them doing their thing.
The main girl?
Yeah.
It's such a fun concept. Yeah. Kind of like where like a speedster, can move people because they're moving so fast.
Yeah. But, the bullet.
Or Superman.
Yeah.
Rewind time.
Wow.
That's a whole other thing.
That was a very much like an 80s, like we just have to go around the sun and we go back in time.
Talk about like magic systems, and very low magic. No, but yeah, it's, I think all good questions of like, really like, where are the lines? Where do we start? I think, I don't know. I kind of want to go back to like that question of like, where do we, like in what is it? The Adjustment Bureau?
Yep.
Is that what it's called? Or even like you said, staring out a window, as a kid, I do think that just is imagination as a whole is where a lot of the world building comes from.
Cloud watching even.
Yeah.
Just imagining what you could do. I mean, as writers, I'm sure we're all just like, hey, how would it be cool if this happened or whatever? And that was just the start. Like, again, I just was writing this stupid like little idea because I was toying with like a romance or whatever. And then I don't know if I told you about this, but I was just toying with this romance and everything. And I was like, this girl and this guy, and it's an older lady, and she's teaching him ways or whatever and trying to make him a good man or whatever. And I'm just like, what if she was like an operative? Like, what if she spent her life like fighting people, and then she just was like, saw so much like bad stuff. She's just trying to put some good back in the world or whatever. It's like, what if she's a witch? What if she's like, and I started like going down, and I totally forgot about the romance part of it. And I'm like, just like, well, she's a really cool witch and she can do all this stuff and everything. So it's just weird. Like, you just let it go where it's going to go. Right. Mm-hmm. Like, you can't force it, because that's where like stuff gets like bogged down, or like
rule number one for world building.
There is there is a balance between leaving enough room for happy accidents and having your whole story be accidents.
Sure.
There's such a thing as staying on topic, as we struggled with this podcast.
Right. Hey guys, hope you're enjoying the podcast. Don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe to all of our videos. And then most importantly, don't forget to click on the notification bell to stay up to date with all of our podcasts.
But there's, the whole thing about where do you start? Like, I haven't done any real building of brand new worlds or pieces of brand new worlds for the works I have published, but I've done it a lot in my role-playing stuff.
Sure.
And I don't know, like, where you guys start with, building your worlds. Like, you've built kind of a new world. Mm-hmm. You've got one, in the scene, like all of it's underneath the surface, this iceberg that you've built so far.
Write it.
Right. Publish it. Because there's so much written. Right. But I, at least speaking for myself, I typically start with either like one character, or just like an idea of somebody that has a potential like story that I want to tell. They might not end up being the main character, but so far, I mean, that's been the case. They usually are. But usually I start with that, and then I do that's like a zoom in moment. And then I do periods of like zoom in, zoom out. So you have the character, and then, okay, where does this character live? What kind of world do they live in? What's the magic, if there is any magic? What's the magic system? Is it more sci-fi? Is it dystopian? What kind of like texture do I want in the world and in this story?
That's a great way of saying that.
That's the only thing, because like tone, like what's the tone? What's the overarching like feeling that I think I want to encapsulate with this character's story? So that's like a zoom out moment.
And I want to like just interject really. What that implies is very important, that your world building will affect the tone.
Yes. I think so, at least. Yeah. At least it has in my experience.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. But go ahead.
No, that's okay. And then I just keep doing a series of those zoom in, zoom out moments, going back to the character. Okay, now that we know about the world, what does that change? What does that add? And then who's around them?
It's kind of a funny, like, again, I don't know, you probably never played Grand Theft Auto 5.
I've watched it played. I've watched Grand Theft Auto 3 played.
Sure. Yeah. I don't know if in those other games, when they start having multiple characters, but they did this really cool thing where it's just like, you would be playing one character, and then like, oh, now the story shifts, and it would zoom out, and they show the city, and then they would zoom in another place and everything. And then you start getting that part of the story. Mm-hmm. And then eventually they all kind of came together and everything.
I do that in my writing.
Yeah, sure. It's like what you're describing. Yeah. And I find it very, that's like the visual, way of doing that. And I find
it's just like if you're looking at Google Maps, you zoom out and then zoom in on this other place.
Yeah.
Spent a lot of time as a kid zooming in, zooming out in Google Earth. I won't lie.
Because it was free, right?
It was free.
She was a kid when Google Earth was a thing.
Yeah. That's true.
Some of us were not.
I've also used an atlas.
Actually, that's because your father, though. Because
I love maps. That's another thing too. Actually, with world building is after a certain point of the zoom in, zoom out, mentality, the map must come into play. And I think the map is a crucial stage in my world building process, because it then sort of puts it together and almost makes the world more tangible. It could be a crude map. It could be just like, here's a circle, you know, or like in the case of my my science fantasy, you know, series that I'll have, it's Theron's Belt, which is like the solar system essentially. And so like that was an important step for me of like, okay, this is now the setting that it's located in.
I'm remembering how I showed somebody one of my crude maps once because it's all I had. And she was like, oh, I want to see. And she laughed and said I would never be a writer.
Boo! Yeah. Take that.
In your face.
You have, novels.
What have you done?
Award-winning novels.
Very nice.
But yeah, that's my process. I mean, where do you start? Like what?
It's since I'm like such a like a movie oriented person, like a cinema visual person, I always have a scene. Like I always see like something like a very poignant moment, a very like cinematic moment, whatever it might be. And I just want to get to that. Mm-hmm. That is always my like focus because I've had the end of Never Told done since like 10 years ago. Like I knew exactly. I just had to get there now. It's shifted a little bit of how I'm going to get there, but it's just like having those moments and figuring out who's there and how we get there and what the world is. It's always built around moments. And that's actually how I think about my spirits in the world, because they all kind of are carrying memories with them and everything. And each one they're always around big events, whether it's births, you know, just catastrophic nature events, stuff like that. Like they amass around big events, remember those events and bring them back, you know, or bring them with them. And so for me, it's always been like that. I want to know, I guess maybe this is me watching too many movies and anime, but it's just like, I want to get to those big heroic moments so that eventually but they have to be earned. Like I can't just like have this cool thing and then not earn them. Like, you know, those characters had to go through something to get to there so that when it does happen, you feel something. And that's important to me. So my world building is a little bit plot driven, if anything, you know, because you got to have these worlds to inhabit and they got to be fun and they got to be exciting for me. So that's kind of how I do it.
I think it's, if you don't mind me interjecting first, because I do think that you as you're a world building person first. You're a plot person first. But
I'll comment on that.
Yeah. I do think that one of the reasons why plot is kind of in the middle and why I do think world building is important to make somewhat first, like have it at least a little bit, is because the plot will then threaten the world that you've created. Sure. And because I
neutralize this threat first.
Yes.
And like that is you have to have a world that you care about in order for there to be stakes of some kind.
Steak bartering, yes.
Sure. And that
you have to write that now.
Yeah.
Dang it, I lost my thought.
I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
It's just a callback from last.
But really that, you know, once you have that all established, then you can have that, okay, what's the thing that truly will threaten your world? And that is like usually like the end issue. You know, the ring must be destroyed, right? We have to get it to Mordor. We have to, so like we've talked about before, like we all in some way, shape or form will have that end, you know, target moment that we have to get to, or that will have to happen in order for you to write even the beginning parts of the plot.
Right. I think it's interesting how both of you are your character first people, but you don't, neither of you really starts by writing the character stuff. You said you start with the concept, you might write a little bit, but then you go right to the world building and you kind of like, it's like your plot informs the world building. Yeah. And what's funny is I'm a world building second person, but that's often the first step for me.
Sure. Yeah.
I believe it.
Because I mean, you know, especially coming from role playing, certain settings appeal to me. And I'm like, what fun stories can I put in this setting?
Right.
And, you know, I was an astrophysics student in school and I spent a lot of time thinking about different worlds and, you know, like,
I mean, yeah.
And how do I think of those? Like when I'm building a sci-fi game or something like that, you know, I think about all this weird stuff, like, you know, what kind of star is it? Distance from the sun and everything like that. Because I'm thinking of those physical attributes and it depends on how much I need. If it's just a basic Star Wars game, I'm like, well, these are all going to basically be breathable atmosphere planets. And, you know,
very habitable. Like,
yeah. But I mean, like, if I'm doing a serious long-term thing, I'm gonna I'm going to come up with a lot of this stuff. And then like, what's the composition of the core and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But, you know, I don't want to spend forever on that. I want to get to the details that are going to affect characters. You know, if someone were to go down on this planet, what gear would they need to even be able to survive, et cetera.
Sure.
And, you know, like to that end, like for some of the sci-fi games I have run, I brought the system. You can see it right over here. It's the old 80s Doctor Who role-playing game from FASA.
Because you've been so mean to it, apparently.
Yeah. Well, it's so to preserve it. Because like, I think a corner ripped and I'm like, I'm taping this whole thing to protect it. For those just listening, if there are any, excuse any noise. I'm flipping through a little booklet here because this booklet has rules for generating planets and societies and different tech levels and everything. Cool. There's all kinds of stuff, you know, like there's a whole character sheet for planets.
You could take a screenshot and maybe post that. I would like to.
Yeah, we can put that in post for the people who aren't just listening.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's like system log. It's like system name, location, you know, number of stars in the system, number of terrestrial planets, etc.
Yeah.
You know, like gas planets, you know, like different alien creature record, tech level, strength, body form, etc. There can be silicon-based life instead of carbon-based life. There's all kinds of stuff like this. And, you know, on a much smaller scale for when I've had to build out like continents and societies in like a fantasy game, I often start with the maps. I start with the landscape.
Sure.
How is this going to affect the cultures? You know, islands often have smaller islands often have way fewer resources than, you know, big continental land masses.
Mm-hmm.
Sure. Yeah.
And that's going to affect cultures. How long a culture lives is going to affect a lot. So I start with a lot of that stuff, but it's all in the service of the plot. If I already have that, if I don't, that's the basis for the plot for me.
Mm-hmm.
Like I picked Shadow World because I liked what I saw of the setting.
Sure.
One of the things too that I love some movies just for the worlds. Like, you know, they're not great, you know, stories. And for me, this one I'm going to talk about, I love the story too, as well as the story building or world building. But Jupiter Ascending is like a movie that a lot of people didn't like.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you've ever seen it. Have you seen this?
No, I have not.
Yeah, of course not.
I hadn't seen Avatar until you got me to watch
welcome.
Speaking of world building,
I thought you might say Avatar there. So,
and that's a good example and everything because they did a lot of research, and every time they do a movie, there's always some new stuff into it, and it's great. But Jupiter Ascending had this very much like almost, I want to say, like Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy feeling of like when Arthur gets into the other planets and he's discovering this whole new world. This one girl finds out that she's like reincarnated like queen of like the galaxy or something like that. I don't know if it was the galaxy.
I don't
remember,
just the
solar system or something. Or maybe it was just the solar system. Maybe. Anyways, so she has like rights and now she's got to go through the bureaucracy to get the rights to her sovereignty and then all this like stuff. And there's all this like future tech and world and it's really cool and everything. It just maybe they didn't stick the landing very well, you know, and it's but it's still fun because it's something new and novel and it's just things I hadn't seen before, at least with sci-fi, and it was a lot of fun. And that's one of those things like where you can have really good story building and then the story itself kind of falls apart. You know?
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's part of why we say all the legs of story are important. And if you favor one of them, you still need to be competent at the others because any one of them can break and your whole story falls apart.
Or you can be just bad at all of them like me and then everything just is kind of like mediocre.
Then it's just a little stool. Just kidding.
I think that's what some people will call all style, no substance.
Sure, yeah. That's a lot of anime, unfortunately.
That is a lot of anime.
Yeah.
That's
which is beautiful to watch, but it's just like, what the hell was the purpose of like watching this and then like nothing happened?
It's like beautiful to watch, but then you end up with a question: why did I watch that?
Yes,
it's true.
So why not just a still shot?
But I do think that, like you said, I imagine the three pillars, you know, plot, story, world building, and then as like a pyramid, and then the base is the storytelling aspect of it, because you do need all of them. Very much a visual person.
Yeah.
But I do, because they're all sometimes like not as equal as the other, but they're all, you know, just as important, like you're saying, and
you
need
have a
to
weird looking like pyramid where it's like slanted a little bit because one leg is shorter than the other or whatever.
Yeah. I do also have a theory too that like the more you have of one, the more you also kind of need of the other too, or the less you have of another.
Oh, sure.
So it doesn't become completely unbalanced.
Yeah.
Like they don't all have to be equal, but you have to have enough.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And I do think that one of the biggest lessons here is really, like you were saying, is just to know when you can stop.
Yeah.
You know, because like you were talking about like, well, what type of core does the planet have? What type of like, what's the atmosphere like? What's the life form that lives on this planet? When I first was writing Conquering Chronicles, these questions that I was asking myself, and I'm a hyper-focused person, like I would do that to a degree where it was just not necessary. And I remember stopping myself like, what the heck am I doing? Nobody needs to know this in order for me to get
but you
this
need
story.
to know this.
I know,
Yeah.
but so I'm seeing the lesson of like, don't get lost in the world building. Like,
what percentage of this planet is made of tungsten?
72.3. That's not enough.
That's way off.
people are going to question this. They're going to make fun of me. Yeah, like
scientist. Neil deGrasse Tyson's going to tear you apart.
Gosh, I honestly, if you did, that'd be great.
Yep. I've reached the top of Neil deGrasse Tyson.
But I do think that like there's limits. You obviously need to do some. There's limits, but also have fun with it too. I think another really important thing with world building is like, unless you're making like this really hopeless, like grimdark, hi mom, story.
Does she love grimdark?
She loves grimdark. She was just telling me this last week.
Why don't you read some grimdark for me? Make it really grim and really dark.
And really dark. Extra dark. But you have to have like fun with it too, because otherwise, like, I mean, I don't know. Why are we writing? Like, what are we escaping to? It's got to be.
I was going to go back to that point of what you said about it's like all escapism, because I have a quibble.
Yeah.
Because sometimes it's not escapism. Sometimes it's exploration.
Sure.
And some things you can't explore in the real world, you have to explore in your mind.
Yeah.
Yes, I don't see how they're different.
Escapism is about fleeing a thing. Exploration is about going towards a thing.
I guess.
No, so I know what you're saying.
Yeah.
Escapism is kind of like, it feels like there's a fear involved. Like, what are you if that world is unsatisfying or something?
I can see how that could be the case for some people. I will say for me, it is mostly because the mundane is boring to me. And so I do want to explore other places. But I see what you're saying now that you elaborated.
Well, especially since you said you like more realistic stories. That's something you used to say too. It's like, okay, well, you like historical fiction. Well, okay, but that's also the real world.
Mm-hmm. So that's why I think it's more exploration for me versus escapism.
Right.
Now that we're talking about it, because it is a good distinction.
Yeah,
I think to make.
And one can read just to be clear, one can read historical fiction to escape because you're escaping the present reality.
Yeah,
sure.
Yeah,
because but if exploration is a huge part of why I read this stuff, I don't usually feel like I'm escaping, and I feel like that mental exploration enriches me in the real world. But also both things can be true. You can be both escaping boredom, bad family situations, whatever, but also exploring something positive. So just because you may not always be running from something, you may not always be like rushing to explore something, but you can also be doing both at the same time.
Right. Depends on the day.
Yeah.
The thing that I think the least analogy I'm going to make is like, it's a rocket ship. Like you have to escape Earth's gravity to explore the universe. Like you can't, like, it's not so much that you're trying to get away from something, but there are things you need to get through in order to explore. And
I think that if you're doing that, like whatever you're writing, you need to write enough outside of that gravity well to push your rocket towards it. So for you as the writer, you might be like, I need this much detail to escape, to get an escape velocity from this reality. Yeah. So maybe even your readers don't need it, but you need it to immerse yourself enough in that world in order to build the story in that world.
And so to the opposite effect of this all is that like we all talk about how much we want to put into stories and like develop them because they're very important. But the other opposite of it is Rick and Morty. And all the universes, like I don't know how much of Rick and Morty you've watched, but all the universes that they go to, you just need a snippet. and just enough to like get like, that's weird. Okay, we get it. And and they're only gonna spend like 30 seconds or an hour or a minute in there. But one of the ones I always think it's a running gag is like Rick is gonna bring Morty to Boob World, and you don't need to know anything about that.
Just like just in the name.
Yeah, just the name, right?
Yeah.
And then there was an episode where it's like they were gonna go, but they couldn't go. And then one of the episodes later is like finally like, oh, we're finally going to Boob World, and he comes back with a hat and everything from it.
or even The Simpsons, where like there's the whole time travel thing, like swats a mosquito, and he keeps going back in time to try to fix what he broke,
right?
And then he ends up leaving one. Where they're like, well, what's a donut? He's like, and then he leaves, and then it starts. Oh dear, it's raining again, and it's raining donuts. There's no one like, well, how do we make it plausible that it's raining donuts? Like, you don't need that for that kind of story.
And it's just, and then eventually he gets to a point where like it's so mad he starts beating everything when he goes back in time, and then he comes back, and then everybody looks fine, but then they have like lizard tongues they're eating. He's like, oh, close enough. Like, and he just stays there.
It's like, how would this ever be the result? You don't have to know or care.
Yeah.
Especially with comedy.
And I guess that's a whole other layer to world building of let them imagine, like let them fill in the blanks. Yeah. And I've never considered that in all of my freaking years of
do all the work for them.
Oh my God. The readers are smart,
I might say that every time I make a mistake that someone busts me on, like, well, what I was trying to do was get you to fill in the gaps.
It was inside you the whole time.
Yeah. Congratulations. You took my work exactly the way you should.
Gosh.
You say it to everybody. Yeah. So then they start arguing. He's like, no, he said it this. Like, no, he said it was this way.
And all I wanted was chaos.
What I really wanted was to be known as the biggest douche among authors. Like that's what would happen if I did that.
Taken by some other people. But
thank goodness.
Thank you for not saying you're already there, man.
No, because I want you to aspire to be.
It was such a big softball over the plate.
Underhand. Woo.
But I do feel like this is actually, even though we talked about a lot of stuff, but also maybe a little bit of nothing at the same time. But I think this has been one of my favorite.
Isn't that like all our conversations?
I think so. But I love, every time we talk about world building or even one of the legs of storytelling, I feel like I do learn something new about myself too. And then of different concepts, like for me, especially today, like let the reader imagine, and fill in the gaps.
Yeah, it's one reason we do this, I think. Just as authors, as creatives, we're just trying to explore, just different concepts and be better at it by just because half of it is just thinking about anything to get better at it, just trying to figure out A, B, and C, why A equals C or whatever, just a very exploratory thing. Yeah.
Yeah. And I know it's interesting to see how people grapple with these things. Like I ran a tabletop role-playing game over New Year's with both of these guys. And, I think after character creation, Kate's like, hey, can I look at some of the source books and everything? And just like went through and looking at what is it? It's the world building.
Yeah.
And yeah, like, so that,
I think it's a perfect example actually of kind of my process. Cause that hyperfixation then into Middle Earth was so much fun. I learned so much. There was a plague. I'm sure there's always, there's a bunch more to that, but anywho, so yes, this has been, I think, a fantastic conversation, at least from our side.
Yeah.
Let us know any thoughts you guys have on world building, how you might go into world building, favorite things you like about world building. Have I said world building enough?
Brave New Worlds.
Yeah. Brave New World. Yes. Yeah. So
let us know too. I mean, I'd be interested in doing an episode sometime where we kind of do a round robin, create a world.
Oh, and just everybody adds like something to it every time.
Or just like, something you're building inspires me. Like here, I would add this and then that inspires you.
Sure.
It's like I'm going on a picnic and I'm bringing apples.
We'll call it stone soup. No, I'm sorry. You guys haven't heard that story? Okay, it's a joke.
Is it? Okay.
Child's book.
Yeah.
But yes.
I'm not that much younger than you, so I should know something, about that.
But sometimes I learn from people way older than me. So.
But thanks for joining us, everybody. We have been Bards and Balladeers. I'm Kate.
I'm Oscar.
And I'm Rio.
See you later.
Bye-bye. Baby.